It's Happy Valley's #1 station.
You guys are awesome.
You're the best.
I love you guys.
B94.5.
It's all hit B94.5. We're here with Jiana Davis, the most recent eliminee from America's Next Top Model. This has definitely been very up and down for you during this season. The first few weeks, you were just like getting second call out. Your fan vote was just through the roof. So then you got eliminated, unfortunately, this past week. Did you see this coming, or what was going through your head when you were at panel?
It was kind of difficult for me because even when I was on top, if you will, and, I was killing it every week, the stress level that was there and, the competition itself kind of really starts to take a toll. And you're working long hours and you start to realize, the reality of this lifestyle really kind of starts to sink in. And I'm from Denver, and the fashion scene here isn't really, booming, and I've never had a big agency, so I was never really required to work these long hours and things like that. And I think ultimately, I feel like the pressure was just sort of getting to me to have to be 100% all the time. Ultimately, it's a hard lesson to learn, but in modeling, you have to be present and aware and conscious of yourself at all times. So, it's a hard lesson to learn, but I'm still appreciative that I was afforded the opportunity to do it.
It's very great that you have that mentality. Now, also, you were in the bottom two with Phil, which might have been a little bit hard because you had a relationship, if you will, throughout the competition. Now, this was his second week in a row that he was in the bottom two, and Tyra said that it was actually for the same reasons. Did you think it was unfair that you got sent home because he was in the bottom two for the same reasons? Do you think that you deserved a second chance?
Ultimately, I am a very laid-back person, and, I believe that everything happens for a reason. So I think that as dramatic as it might have seemed that it came down to Phil and I, Phil and I are just good friends. We're just good buddies. At the end of the day, I support him in his career. He supports me. I support him in his relationship and things like that. Ultimately, I think that it coming down to he and I, it is what it is. And again, with the photo that I went home on, it may not have been the best photo that they could have chosen, but they picked it for a reason and to make a very specific example. And it's the perfect example that you do have to be on it at every moment. Every frame has to count. So, like I said, it was a hard lesson to learn, and at the end of the day, it's a competition. So I'll be competing with people I'm close with my entire life. So it's just, you take it for what it is.
So this season, we've been seeing the highest fan votes of all time, and you yourself started off really, really high as a fan favorite and even broke records, but then your fan vote slowly started to decline. What was it like going from the top to the bottom and the fan vote?
It definitely puts things into perspective. When we found out that there was social media involved, and I thought, oh my gosh, I have fans? And not just my mom at front row at a fashion show here in Denver. I have international fans and people finally recognizing my work. And it definitely put things into perspective that, the competition was very real. And it proves that, 1 minute you're up and 1 minute you're down. But that's just kind of the industry I willingly took part of. Modeling is constantly about yes or no, up or down. And, even Tyra Banks has said it, where she's been turned down numerous times. And look at her now. She's one of the highly noted supermodels in the industry, and she's built an empire. Having the fan vote alone was enough for me. Ultimately, I think it's adorable that I had international fans. I have fans from Russia tweeting me all this weird stuff I can't read. I'm like, thank you.
Well, you definitely do have a very, very solid fan base, and who knows, they might bring you back. And now that there are more and more models actually being added to the Comeback Series, tell us a little bit about what it's like behind the scenes with the Comeback Series, since we don't necessarily see everything that happens.
For as much as I can say about that, in past cycles, before they had introduced a Comeback Series, when a model got sent home, she literally was not allowed to participate. And so I think that I really lucked out as far as being a part of this cycle. And I think it was a brilliant idea by Tyra Banks to kind of introduce this aspect to it, because we still got to participate in all the photo shoots. We still got a fan following, and we still got recognition for the work that we put into it. And so I think that at the end of the day was very comforting for me, and I didn't worry as much because I knew that this was a Comeback Series, and it was a direct relation that, if you work hard, if you get a great photo, your fans will vote you back in. So it was just all formulated in my head that, okay, this is one thing I don't have to worry about.
So obviously there's a lot of drama in the house because of some of the strict rules that the producers set. Now, is this different for the comeback series? Are you guys in an apartment? How is it different than being in the regular series?
Right. Well, okay, so here's what they do. They take you to a secret lair underneath Tyra Banks' house in Beverly Hills. No, I'm kidding. We were separated for obviously, production purposes. We weren't really allowed to interact for, long periods of time, if at all. And that goes to say anything on set. When you're mic'd up, you're not really allowed to talk unless there's a camera around. That's shop talk. We had our own teams. We were split into 2 teams, and the segregation was kind of difficult because we were called the B team, and I was like, kind of sucks. But you know what? I've always said that I root for the underdogs and all, so, we were the little underdog crew. It was a fun time, and everyone was we still got to participate in the photo shoots, but with just less pressure, and we would almost laugh at the other people that were, there in the upcoming weeks before the comeback because they still had to have the camera on them at all times, and they weren't looking like they had any fun, and here we were just getting to walk in and still do our photo shoot and not have to go face panel. Overall, it was definitely a time to reflect and kind of think back and say, okay, now I need to regroup. I need to get my game face back on. I did get eliminated. However, this is a comeback series, and I still get to participate, and I'm still very involved with the show.
So the major thing this season going on is obviously the mix between boys and girls and the dynamic between you guys. Now, we know a little bit about you and Phil and Jordan and Jeremy. Are there any other couples that forms? So what's the gossip?
There was a lot of things that went on kind of behind the scenes. Like Clea had a little crush on Mike, which they didn't really get to develop. When she got eliminated and then he got eliminated, we were just thinking, oh, dear Lord, what is she going to do to him? Like, now that they're off camera. And so that was one that didn't really get developed. But at the end of the day, we were all just good friends. And it was fun. It was like a sorority frat house kind of interaction between us all. We were basically asked to just act naturally and not hide anything. And so 2 people were like cuddling up or cozying up. We would all, off camera, we would be on the bus, taking a nap, or we'd all be sleeping on each other. And so there were different little connections there. And so they would ask you, if there's something like that going on, be honest and do it on camera. And I can't say who, but there was definitely some off-scene romances or off-camera romances that go on in the next couple weeks that I'm really curious to see how they develop on the show. So you guys will have to watch, and I honestly don't know how they'll be portrayed, so you'll see them. I am definitely excited for that, but maybe it'll take the heat off Phil and I for a brief moment.
Well, I'm definitely excited to see how this progresses, and also after America's Next Top Model. So what are your plans for the future once this competition is over?
Once the competition is over, I'm actually looking to make moves to Los Angeles. My lease is up on New Year's Eve, so I want to throw a big party and clean out my apartment and then just buy a one-way ticket and go to Los Angeles. I plan on interviewing with some agencies out there, and within the next year, hopefully, I'll be in New York City, Paris, London. The takeover is going to begin, the Jiana takeover. And, this show has been a beautiful springboard to do that, and the opportunities that I've had is only going to further my career and push me into doing excellent, amazing things, and it won't look too bad on a resume either, I figure. So, hey.
You've been through quite the journey, and it seems like you have a lot of plans for the future. How can your fans follow you? Do you have a Facebook, a Twitter, anything like that?
I do. I have it all. You can tweet me any old day. My Twitter is @Jiana_Davis. My Facebook is just my first and last name, Jiana Davis. And then same with my Instagram. If you want to see me post weird pictures of food and selfies, you will love it.
Well, we wish you all the best in your future, and thank you so much for talking with us today.
Thank you so much, Angela.
Like us on Facebook at B94.5 Morning Zoo Crew.